What's going on, YouTube? It's Dave's Daily Trades, back again with a breakdown for AMC. So for the day, we were down 0.85%, and in after hours, we're slightly down, just about 0.61%, but all in all, just about a flat trading day. But we do have a lot to discuss today. We're going to be taking a look at some updates for NSCC 2021-010. We're also going to be discussing the latest developments happening overseas in China. We're going to give you guys a quick update on the Ortex data because things are just looking so good. And then lastly, we're going to be breaking down the options data, making some predictions to end the week, and comparing the pre-January 21 run-up to where we currently stand. You guys are not going to miss this one, but without further ado, let's roll right into that intro and hop into the technical analysis. And we're back. All right, guys, so what we have up right now is the 15-minute chart. Some things to note for today, and today's trading session is right over here. As you can see, pretty flat for the day, not a lot of action. Why is that? Well, the biggest thing is due to volume. As we can see on the volume bars down here, volume was actually declining today, which, of course, we would have liked to see higher volume. But what this means is the ability to drive the price of AMC down has greatly diminished. I mean, if we look back to 12/14, so Monday of this week, Monday or Tuesday of this week, I got to check this real quick. I'm sorry, folks. Tuesday of this week, just had to confirm. We had crazy high volume, and especially to the buy side, which we haven't seen for quite some time. If you guys remember, over 100 million shares were traded on that day. That's great. But since then, our volume has been diminishing and getting really low, which I'm going to break it down and show you that it's not terrible. We're still overall trending in the right direction. As you can see, we do have this upward trend line here. We had a touch point on Tuesday. We had a touch point yesterday, and then we had several touch points today. So what I believe is happening right now is we're really just testing the supply and demand levels. Testing out this range here, we were very comfortable. Once we did come down to this range, we did have that buying momentum. Now, we did close literally right on that trend line, the lower of that region. So tomorrow, as in Friday, should be an interesting day. Now, of course, we'll jump into the options flow. We're going to be going over some other various factors that may be playing into effects here, but I do believe that we are going to hold this trend line and start trading higher on Friday, which is going to lead to a very interesting next week. But before we jump on to anything else, we have been talking about the pre-January run-up to where we currently stand right now. So right now we are on the hour chart. To the left is old historical data, specifically 1.5 to just about 1.14. And on the right-hand side, it's where we're trading today. So what pattern I'm noticing? Well, first of all, the big volume spike. This is absolutely the same as what we saw here on Tuesday. This big volume candle, which if we look back, volume was very, very low on that drop here, which is literally the same thing that happened for the past just about month. November was a little bloody, but it was all on low volume. They were dropping the price with very low volume, and that's something to keep in mind. Now, volume dries up, and what do we have? That big green candle, establishing the floor, essentially here. That's the same thing that happened here. Now, the one thing that I noticed is this upward trend line. Now, of course, it's not going to be exactly the same. Sure, it can briefly break this, but it's a trend. We're trending higher, making higher lows, which is consistent. That's what we've been seeing for the past 3 trading days since we got that terminal shakeout, as we call it here. So we're in the right direction. But what happens is once we do get that terminal shakeout, which I do believe was right here on 1.5, we consolidate a little bit. Very much the same here. We come closer to the trend line. And once we do come close to that trend line, we spike. A little bit of consolidation and spike. Now, this pattern of consolidation is a little bit on the longer side, which is why I believe we're somewhere over here, right around that 1617. Because for the past 2 days, it wasn't really a lot of price movement. Volume was typically a little bit lower than we're used to, which is totally fine to see. But as long as we kind of stay consistent with this upward trend line, establishing those higher lows, we're on the right path. Now, a few big things going into Friday, and we're going to just jump right into it. First of all, NSCC 2021-010. So what is this exactly? I know we've talked about this a lot, but it just quick update. This order instituting proceedings to determine whether to approve or disapprove a proposed rule change to establish the securities, financing transaction, clearing service, and make other changes. So comments were due on December 3rd, and then rebuttal comments are due on the 17th, which is tomorrow. Now, there's a lot of speculation that this is going to be approved tomorrow, but guys, like anything, it's up in the air. It can literally go either way. I believe it's a 50-50 shot. However, I do believe if this does go into effect, we should see AMC start to move. Now, we'll see what happens at the end of the day. Of course, I'll be updating you guys Friday, and we'll go from there. Now, please do not take this and go YOLO some weekly call options here, because it literally is a 50-50 shot here. At the end of the day, we're trending in the right direction. We're making those consistent higher lows, so it really doesn't matter. Sure, we all know the SEC and all these other regulatory bodies are professionals at kicking the can down the road. Can they kick this again? Sure, they can absolutely rebuttal and push this. Will they? Your guess is as good as mine. But nonetheless, I think we're going to have an interesting day Friday, specifically on that technical setup and because of this rule change right here. Now, as we have been discussing for months and months and months, there are some glaring issues happening overseas in China. As we know, Evergrande has defaulted. We've seen other firms start to default in the real estate sector. Now, what we have here is a China developer. God bless me if I could pronounce that name right there, but there's no shot in hell. Properties warns it may be unable to repay note, which is due on January 13th. So this is getting interesting, especially the time frame of everything going on. Of course, yesterday we talked about 2 hedge funds going under, which is absolutely more to come. We have Evergrande defaulting, various other firms, but now this is starting to really have some spillover effects where other Chinese development firms that potentially weren't as risky as Evergrande were are starting to default. It's all tied together. And of course, guys, this is going to take a little bit of time to really play out to the full extent. But just seeing that all of these developers are starting to default slowly and slowly means that we are not quite there yet. This is absolutely going to get much worse, in my opinion. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll update you guys daily, and we're just going to go from there. Now, everyone has been talking about Ortex. What's going on? Well, as we can see here, current short interest of the free float is back over 20%, and actually at 21%. Estimated current short interest, 107.79 million shares. That is absolutely unreal. So, as you guys know, the past couple of days, I believe somewhere around last week, we were actually around 17%. So to see this short interest starting to really spike up means one thing to me. If we jump back into the charts, we'll go on the daily. Just give me 1 second here. When SI started to spike, it was around this time frame, back in just about early and middle of May. Short interest absolutely went through the roof. And what happened? Price slowly drives down, reverses, and starts making moves higher. Now, seeing it at 21%, that's high. We haven't seen that number in quite some time. Last time, it was somewhere around 20%. They just drove the price down, kind of, you know how Ortex work, guys. We don't have to even talk about it. And then magically we're at 17%. But one thing to keep in mind, Ortex is self-reported data, meaning they're going to take this data, say, yeah, sure, we got 5% short interest here. This firm over here, they got 6%. However the hell they do it, don't trust it 100%, because as I know, and as all you are very well aware of, the short interest is much higher than 21%. Now, as we are on the one-day chart, might as well analyze it real quick. Good thing that I'm seeing is the histograms here on the MACD are starting to slow down, symbolizing a reversal is on the way. You have RSI is very, very low here. We got RSI sitting right above that 30 mark, which is just above oversold territory. So that's great to see. But the biggest thing here is if we look back at June, and I'm not comparing the setup of this, I'm just comparing some technical levels just to compare this stuff. We were actually at the low sitting at 41 here. So seeing that we are as low as 30 means we have substantial ways to move. We have room to run here. Same thing with the MACD. We're absolutely well below the neutral level, currently sitting at 0.79. Having this reversal down here, I think it's going to come sometime next week. We'll absolutely keep an eye on these histogram levels and update you folks as we move along. But things are looking good from a technical perspective here. This is a great setup. We found this bottom. We had that terminal shakeout. We've touched major support lines. We're below, well below our levels that we established for the past 6 months. So this looks great. Lots of new initiatives coming out with AMCs, specifically our NFTs, new showings. The Spider-Man movie, I believe, is coming out this weekend. That's going to be freaking huge. Matrix coming out. I mean, guys, things are looking wonderful. But as you guys know, we're going to end the video just going over the unusual whales option flow, getting a feel for what may be happening in the near-term future. So some expirations to note. For today, I saw a lot of activity around this 12/17 data, or expiration rather. We have mostly puts being sold. Yeah, of course we have a few puts being bought, but these are way out here. I mean, 6/17 puts being bought over here, but for the most part for 12/17, which of course is tomorrow, those puts were being sold. That shows me, and we're not talking about small premiums here, guys. This filter right now is set to premiums over $100,000. So we're talking about some whales, not these small-time traders. We're talking about freaking whales, guys. So for 12/17, right here alone, look at this. We have 200,000, 240,000, 172,000. All these puts are being sold. That's great to see. We move up here. 121, I know that's a little out, but again, 12/17, put being sold. Why is that? Do we expect possibly some price movements tomorrow? I don't know. But I will say someone always knows. Someone always knows. So that's why I love unusual whales. But jumping into the historical flow, we can absolutely see that call volume is trending in the right direction. Per the update yesterday, this was right around 60%. So seeing this bump up just about 5%, that's great to see, guys. I'll take that all day. The premiums, heavily favored by the bulls. That's, again, something great to see. But breaking down today's options flow specifically, and this is for the last 100 trades, minimum premium is over $1,000. But anyways, we were a little bearish today. Puts were 55%, calls were 45%. Volume for the calls and puts, again, in the puts favor, which again, totally fine. Especially that we were down less than 1% today. It doesn't matter. But some expirations that were specifically targeted for today was this 12/23/21. Very bullish. We have over 100,000 in the volume here. And for 12/23, guess what? That's next Thursday. Bulls are absolutely outweighing the bears here. So that kind of goes along with the earlier thesis that next week should be pretty freaking interesting. But if we break it down by strike for today, the bulls were absolutely in control above that $22 level, and it was slightly mixed right around 25s if we just look at the values here. Now, this is great to see. I would have liked to see us close a little bit higher today, but it is what it is, guys. 24.45, not a bad day. Consecutive higher lows, 3 days in a row. I'll absolutely take it. Let's wait and see what tomorrow brings. What I want to look for tomorrow is A, volume. That is key. Absolutely freaking key. I do want to see a higher low established again. And generally speaking here, I want us to follow this trend line that we have established on this 15-minute chart here. If all those things come true for tomorrow, boy, I'm going to be a happy guy. But guys, that's all I have for today's video. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more content. Peace out, and see you guys tomorrow.